Good evening everyone, welcome back to the Dark Souls 2 livestream series. We are back in our Faith build, and I'm going to start off by saying that I can't hear any of the game at the moment. That's because I left my earphones at work. Fortunately they're in a secure locker, otherwise I'd be shitting myself because those are quite expensive. And yeah, that's usually what I use to, well that's always what I use to monitor the game. So if there are any audio prompts that should actually get some reaction out of me, it's not going to happen because I can't hear anything. Why are you presenting your back to me so obviously? I just want to check volume levels. That's so loud. How is that still so loud? That's incredible to me. Because I'm being very lazy at the moment and I'm not actually monitoring the volume of the game by doing a test recording. Normally I'd do a test recording if I was not sure about game volume, just to make sure that it wasn't too loud and I'd, see how loud my voice was compared to it. But it being the game. But yeah, like seriously, this is not, I'm playing like absolute donkey balls. I'm one giant, sweaty donkey scrotum as we speak. I don't know why I'm keeping with that. How loud is this at the moment? That seems to be a little more reasonable. I can't believe that I had to lower my volume that far to get it to an acceptable level. If I had just tested it, we wouldn't be in this situation. The whole point of going live is to do so when you are personally assured of the fact, beyond any reasonable doubt, that everything's right. Because once you're live, that's it, baby. It has to be correct and be working well, otherwise it's very much the opposite. It's not good enough, and then you have to make adjustments while you're live, and that's a little rough. At any rate, I haven't actually played any Souls since I was last recording this game. It needs to be said that I've not played Souls in my own time for many months. That just means that I'm going to be a little bit out of it. I was obviously swinging my weapon well outside the acceptable range of the enemy, or in other words, the enemy was well out of my range, and yeah. It was obvious without having to swing my weapon that that was the case, and yet I was still doing that, so do forgive me. I may need more than this for the upcoming boss. The upcoming boss is the Bone Lord, I believe he's called. And, interestingly, any boss, or most bosses that include other enemies, like besides the main boss itself, usually it's not the main boss that's the problem, it's the small enemies that create the distraction and muddy up the experience of fighting the boss. They are usually what is the main difficulty. In the case of this boss, there are multiple enemies that you end up fighting, and among them are, in fact, bone wheel skeletons. Fortunately, bone wheel skeletons in Dark Souls 2 are not as annoying to deal with here as they are in the first Dark Souls game where they first appeared. But they're still annoying, and there is a strategy to deal with them. It relates to attacking them while they're spawning, and knowing where they spawn as well. Not even necessarily knowing where they spawn, but watching out for any giveaway, like a big spiky wheel coming out of the ground, and then aiming for that as it's spawning. Because obviously with a bone wheel skeleton, the less they're rolling around, the better it's going to be for you. Alright. Onward, I suppose. I don't know if I've actually got an audience right now, which puts me off slightly because I'm worried that the game's not loud enough now. It should be fine. I'm going to keep monitoring things every now and again, but yeah. This is literally the last time I'm going to... I'd love to do a critical strike so that I could... No, I want to get a critical strike. Please. Don't fall off so that I... Yeah, whatever. I'd just like a critical strike so that I can observe the volume of the game. Oh no, that's perfect. It's currently perfect. Loud sounds hitting at about negative 30 dB, which is appropriate for my vocal level at the moment, so yeah. I'm literally having to look at a dB scale to or meter, whatever you would prefer to say, in order to determine how loud my game is, and quite frankly, you would do that under normal circumstances, but you would at least be able to listen while doing so. I'm not really doing that, so it's a little bit blind. I'm flying blind, as they say. Now, I'm not impressed that I ended up using an Estus flask before reaching the boss. I'm just going to mash you. This is one of those situations. Oh, for God's sake, of course, the classic. The absolute fucking classic. The ambush. Now, getting ambushed in a Souls game is pretty typical, but Dark Souls 2 is obsessed with it. You are endlessly getting ambushed in this game. The thing is, an ambush does encourage you to, from then on, actually make sure that the coast is clear before continuing. It actually promotes slower pacing of one's progression through the game. So therefore, the experience becomes a bit more meaningful. And, you know, you're actually looking around to see where enemies are instead of just, I guess, taking a tour through the game and then having enemies jump up on you and then you deal with them as you go. The interaction between the player and the game is actually enriched by having things like ambushes, because it just changes how you play in a positive way, but there's a fucking balance to it. And this is really the big point when it comes to Dark Souls 2 not being a good Souls game. It's the fact that all sense of balance was just thrown out the door. There's no concept of it. That is one example of many, as far as them just going too far to make it difficult. In practice, it didn't end up being a terribly difficult game, but you could just see that everything had been rather tastelessly turned up to maximum on the difficulty scale. All those different aspects, all those little facets of a Souls game. You imagine like a difficulty meter. They just turned it up to max for all of them. All those little things. But I suppose they could have done a whole lot worse than they did, because still in practice it's not a super difficult game, but is it balanced and tasteful and well crafted? No, not at all. Some people just don't look at it in the same way that I do, but there is a certain sense of balance that is missing from this game. And it is mostly there in Dark Souls 3, but again, people value different things. There are plenty of people who don't like Dark Souls 3, yet would share many of the opinions that I have of the Souls series, generally speaking. So, yeah, people value different things, I suppose, at the end of the day. But I guess what I would try to say is, irrespective of what you value, you shouldn't be considering this to be a good expression of the Souls formula. If you do, then I can't help but think your priorities are slightly skewed. Perhaps more than slightly. But whatever. Your support for the game actually didn't result in more of the same, and that's why I have a lot of respect for From Software. A lot more respect than I have for Capcom, let me tell you. I'm playing so badly right now. So, these are the Skeleton Lords. There are a few ways in which you can approach them. I'm just going to get in there and mash, because you can see they're quite weak. As I hit them, they do flinch, which basically prevents them from hitting me back. That is a pretty standard procedure. You can see I'm attacking before they attack me. I cannot remember which one causes the bone wheel skeletons to spawn, but basically every time you kill one of these skeleton lords, a number of enemies spawn. And I'm just going to try to take it nice and slowly. Instead of keeping these bone lords, or trying to kill them as quickly as possible, I'm instead going to try and focus on the small enemies as well. Okay, so I was right. The main caster, in other words, the guy with the ranged capability, is indeed the one that causes bone wheel skeletons to spawn when he dies. So it's entirely manageable to have these small enemies, or the basic minion enemies, here while the ranged guy is casting his fire magic. Because quite frankly, the magic moves slowly to start with, and you can also use these pillars to shield you from his ranged attacks, but as soon as you have to contend with bone wheels rolling around, it's no fun at all, let me tell you. So there's really two sensible ways to go about it. The first would be to know precisely which Oh my god, I nearly died there. If it were not obvious. But yeah, you can either save the bone wheels for last, or dispatch them first and foremost. I'm going with the former strategy. But yeah, generally not a difficult boss, but it is easy to fuck it up and cause problems for yourself. It usually involves taking on the boss for the first time, not understanding what's involved, and then you end up having a lot of these small skeletons coming after you because you've just beaten the bone lords to death, or the skeleton lords, because they appear to be so weak, and then you end up having to contend not just with those small minions, but actually the bone wheels as well. Part of my fear of the bone wheels is actually from the first Dark Souls game. They're just mildly annoying here, but can cause great difficulty if you've really messed things up. But they're still not quite as bad as the bone wheels from the first Dark Souls game. Those motherfuckers were horrendous, because you'd basically get... They would specifically aim themselves so that they could keep rolling into you, and you would be getting stun-locked by the impact. And obviously it was still pretty damaging. I think what they've done here is that they've increased the damage of the bone wheels, but they've made them a little bit less accurate. They have not designed them to basically flinch lock you in place until you die. So, yeah. I guess that's a balanced way of improving the bone wheel skeletons. I think that's a nicer way to go about it. Force the player to give them a wide berth, but if the player slips up, then you'll take a lot of damage. Or they'll take a lot of damage, because that's how I was phrasing it. I was not speaking in the first person. So, this is a 3-part location. We start at Huntsman's Copse. We then continue to Earthen Peak, which then takes us to a fiery, lava, volcanic sort of location. I suppose volcanic may not be accurate. I mean, obviously, when you're dealing with lava, you would expect a volcano to be involved, but I don't immediately recall there being a volcano that's visible. I suppose a lava location would be appropriate. Before I go in there, so I called this Earthen Peak. It's sort of the same way that I refer to the area in Dark Souls 1, Lost Izalith, even before you get to Lost Izalith. It's basically that area. So Earthen Peak is actually that tower up ahead. But I consider this whole place to be effectively Earthen Peak, even though this has been given a different name. So this is, I believe, Stone Trader Cloanne, if I remember the name correctly. I did. She is, as she is described, a stone trader. And like many traders that you meet in this game, you can basically talk to them, exhaust their dialogue, and they will eventually go back to Majula. And that is definitely what we're going to do with this lady. I'm not going to let her chat in full. Alright, she's saying that she has searched everything in the immediate area. So it's time for her to move on. Excuse me. And she's going to move on to Majula. It's just going to be a lot more convenient for us, because she does become our main vendor for upgrade materials. Her shop is going to increase in the number of items that it sells as we continue through the game. I think that's a really nice way to approach it. Obviously, there are some good ideas mixed with truly terrible ideas when it comes to Dark Souls 2. Not everything was a bad idea. What I'm going to say further to that point is going to sound a little bit, I guess, not entirely genuine. Like I'm just trying to make a scathing point to piss off people who like Dark Souls 2, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If you want to know what was done right in Dark Souls 2, look for what Dark Souls 3 kept that was introduced in Dark Souls 2. Because, and to be honest, seeing how From Software approached Dark Souls 3 was incredibly vindicating for me, because it actually showed that the things that I really valued were also the things that they really valued. They actually knew maybe it was the person who's actually, I forget his name now, the person who is really the creative force behind the Souls games. I suppose it was his direction in Dark Souls 3 that really brought everything back in to focus and into balance. Here it's very unfocused, very imbalanced, very let's just make a difficult game. Blah. It's like a child's first Souls game, except these were actually the people making the games. It was pathetic. It plays more like a Souls-like than an actual iteration in the series. But like I said, it was very vindicating to, after having decried the mere existence of Dark Souls 2 for years, to then play Dark Souls 3 and find that basically what I considered to be good and what I considered to be bad when it came to Dark Souls 2 was perfectly reflected in what they kept and what they did away with in Dark Souls 3. So there you go. Hello, Yamatori-san. And thank you for your contribution in the chat. Which was said sarcastically. But yeah, to any person who really is a big fan of the Souls games, or excuse me, a big fan of Dark Souls 2, I'm probably going to be making a lot of scathing remarks about this game, but they're all true. I think they can be validated, and they're not just mindless pettifoggery. It's actually like genuine, well thought out argument. It just depends on how well I choose to flesh it out as I make these points, and I'm probably not going to flesh them out as if it were some kind of debate, because I think there's a little bit more going on than me trying to convince people who are obsessively, in love with Dark Souls 2 that actually it's a pretty shit Souls game. But yeah. You can see the damage I'm dealing with Lightning Spear is not very good. Lightning Spear is something that I did take some effort to get, or I did put some effort into getting it, so I should be using it more than I am. I'm going to kill this guy, it's just I need to obviously be aware of my poison here. They're very easy to deal with, it's just they really, really hurt if you get hit by them, so just be aware of that. I need to get out of this poison. My ranged capabilities are really not good enough for this enemy. I feel like I would be better off using lightning spears on enemies that pose an annoyance or a frustration to me, but that have enough health to have most of it, if not all of it, depleted by a single lightning spear, or two. Alright, now, for God's sake. He's coming out of the poison, fortunately, but oh my god. Keep falling in it. Do not poison me. Fine, if I'm poisoned, then I'm just going to go for it. You can see how quickly I'm losing health when I'm poisoned. It's ridiculous. So I need to go and cure it with one of my 3 poison moss clumps. It's just called poison moss in this game. I've given it the Dark Souls 1 name. It's just how I had phrased the sentence. I would have been better off referring to it with an additional noun, and clump is what I chose. Quite accurately. So the items around here are not incredible. The better items are actually further in. As I recall, they're just through that little entranceway there. To be honest, yeah, I do have a few moss clumps, so I think what I'll do is just run through there and... Oh, I see, there is a safe zone here. I'd completely forgotten about that. So I think there's a chest somewhere around here. Okay, well, whether or not there's a chest, this is really what I meant. This is a fragrant branch of yore. You are only given a small number of these in the game. I believe you will get enough in the game to be able to interact with every petrified individual in the world, but, you can definitely misuse them, or gain access to a certain number of them, then use them on things that are really not helpful for you in your quest. So, Fragrant branches of yore are important, and that is definitely the most valuable thing that is in this location. So I'm happy to have that. I think I needed a fragrant branch of yore to continue in some direction. There is the shaded woods, but I think there was another thing as well. And as I recall, it is the reason why I'm going in this direction rather than in a different direction. No, the reason why I'm going in this direction is because I'm not ready to kill the lost sinner just yet. Well, at any rate, the shaded woods will certainly be an option once we have gone as far through this area as I'm comfortable going. I'm not too sure how that's going to play out. I am pretty certain that I'm not yet ready for the Iron Keep. I could get through it if I wanted to, but look at me. I've got a pretty standard armor set. I've got a very uninspired and uninteresting mace that actually hasn't even been upgraded. The faith aspect of my build has not really been properly developed yet. So, am I really ready for the Iron Keep? I would say not. I think even if I could get through it, it wouldn't be as fun to watch me go through it with this level of build development. So, I think I'll save it for later, and I'll use my fragrant branch of yore that I currently have once I've completed this whole Earthen Peak location to continue into the shaded woods. That, in my opinion, is the best way to move forward. But in the meantime, I'll go and pick up this stuff. It is, by the way, very hot where I am. I'm trying not to... I shouldn't say that. I was going to say I'm trying not to pass out. Well, that's obviously me being very dramatic, but someone might think I'm serious when I say that. No, I'm not currently feeling faint or anything like that. It's just very hot and unpleasant. Ugh. You know, having long hair doesn't make it easier. Those of you who have no experience with long hair like this don't really understand what it's like to have your hair out in the way that I do when it's very hot. The question that you guys might have is it really worth waiting this long for one's poison to decrease or poison build up to decrease? I'd say so. I don't think I have access to much poison moss at the moment, so... Ugh, I shouldn't have done that. Fine, that's alright. What we're doing at this moment is basically... If I was willing to do that, was it really helpful for me to wait? Because I was probably just going to be able to get everything in one go anyway, and then just use one poison moss and have it be done with faster. I suppose, yeah, that was a miscalculation on my part. Continuing further in to pick up the next thing. If I was going to wait, then I should have really committed to it. I should mention that I currently have 25,775 souls. That is a lot more than I really want on my person at this point. Soul of the Pursuer, oh, that's what it was. It wasn't the Shaded Woods. This jogged my memory. It was not the Shaded Woods that I felt that I needed a fragrant branch of yore for. It was, in fact... What's his name? I'm trying to remember him. He's basically one of the... I can't call him a blacksmith. He's basically a person that you can trade souls with for weapons. Can't remember it. I know Ornifex is one of them, Weaponsmith Ornifex, and then Strayed, that's right. So don't use it, for fuck's sake, sorry. If I ever make selections that I'm not intending to make, it's because I keep swapping between circle and cross being my actual selection button. It's really starting to piss me off. But I can't blame all video games for that. I can blame video games that are in a series that keep changing it, but if I'm playing different games, it's just something I'm going to have to live with. Keeping in mind that I do use a PlayStation 3 as my general use PC controller. So yeah, I really have no choice but to suck it up and deal with it. I don't remember what's up here, and yeah, I knew it. Every time I come up here to pick that up, I say to myself, why do I keep doing this? It's a waste. I never use hexing urns for anything. I suppose what I could do is I could try and pull this guy over here. Well... Look, I don't want to deal with two of them. I have no desire for that. I see what he's doing. He's actually guarding that door. So he leashes. He does actually leash. And surprisingly, even standing this close to the other one is not enough to bestir that other one. That's how easy it is to fuck it up, everyone. Remember when I said you don't want to be hit by these guys? That's what I'm talking about. Instant fucking death. And I'd say that's a balanced way to approach it. Incredibly slow attacking. Very predictable. Very well telegraphed in its movements. If you, at that point, still let it hit you, you better be in for a lot of damage. And, yeah, that was my death. That's honestly fine, I don't really mind. I'm going to consume a human effigy because I've got a few of them. And at this point, I do need a little bit more health, so... Yeah, I'm going to leave this guy alive. There's no good reason for me. Fuck you! No, I'm not doing that shit. That's fucking stupid. Let me retry. Let me retry. See, that's why it's useful to have Homewood as an actual miracle. You are at liberty to do things like that. Technically, I traded time for poison moss. If that makes sense. So because I was willing to use a Homeward Bone and go all the way back and do it again, I didn't have to expend my last poison moss clump. And I do have to be careful with how I go about this. The reason why my poison build-up continued for that long, and is still, I think, continuing, what the fuck, is because, basically, you're covered in poison from that little, I guess, swamp hole back there. And for as long as that is attached to your body, it slowly comes off your body, but even if it's on the bottom of your shoes, it will continue to build up poison, which makes no fucking sense at all. But whatever. It's a gameplay mechanic. We don't need to question it deeply. It's just slightly annoying, that's all. Perhaps more than slightly. Okay, let's bring him forward. He's definitely too close there. So when he does his attack... Alright, fine. When he does his attack, he does move forward, so that helps. See, that's enough. If he's moved that far forward, it's enough to not actually worry about getting hit by the other guy. Alright, stamina management is needed. And that one's dead. What I love is that the guy controlling him is not part of the fight at all. Once the big, muscular creature dies, the little guy on the back is just... I don't know. He fades away. He fades out of existence. They're definitely partners. Okay, so you can see that a lot of my strategy at the moment is get in there and beat the monster down, or beat the enemy down, rather. You can tell that I play too much Monster Hunter. But yeah, you beat the enemy down with the mace, get in there, hit them before they hit you, etc. It's a bit mindless, but I don't care. Whatever gets the job done right now. Do expect many things from this build. This build is going to get interesting. I don't really know what to expect of the build yet. I know about as much... What's going on, man? You fell over. I know about as much as you guys do when it comes to what this build is going to look like in the future. I've got a very vague idea, but it can go in many different directions. And that's part of the fun for me. I don't have a clear vision. At the moment, I'm just using a loadout which is vaguely Faith-esque, but which is easy to maintain and will get me through the game appropriately at this level. There's a guy with a similar loadout to me, but he's using this weird spear thing. I think that's a halberd, actually. I forgot what it's called, but it's not something I would use, based on my recollection of how the weapon works. I think it has, like, bad scaling, but high raw. I don't know. well, high attack value. I suppose raw damage is still... like, that's accurate, but still, it's not like it has any non-raw damage. Okay, so, sorry if I'm moving my hair around a lot, it's because I'm actually trying to get some airflow around my face, because it is fucking hot. Oh, God. Okay. So, I'm going to actually prioritize all of my souls. See, I didn't actually want to travel there. I was pressing cross to go back, and see, again, I'm making selections when I don't intend to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize my current soul amount for crafting the Pursuer's Greatsword, because that's what I'm actually doing right now. This is, in the early stages of the build, very much a strength-focused direction of travel for my level ups. So what that means is that I should actually be using weapons that can take advantage of that. And the Pursuer's Greatsword is really one thing that came to mind when I saw the soul of the Pursuer. I thought, well, maybe that's worth actually using. Now, Skeleton Lord's Soul, I'm pretty confident is not going to be helpful at all for me in this build. So, I will probably use it, but I'm going to check Strayed for good measure. I don't care what... Okay, I have to go to the Soul Fort because I don't have access to Strayed's bonfire yet. But anyway, I do not... I forgot what I was going to say. Doesn't matter. I'm sure it was important, whatever it was. I do not care if Ornifex can make something with it. I'm pretty sure it's a Bone Scythe, which is like an A scaling in dexterity. And maybe something with a poison value. Maybe. But at the moment, I'm only thinking of that Bone Scythe with the dexterity scaling. And if there is another thing, it's not significant at all. It's not something that I would consider even good. Or at least not in any way relevant to a faith build. So, based on that, I will happily consume it after checking to see if Strayed can make anything with it. So I'm starting at the Salt Fort here, because it is the closest bonfire to Strayed. Technically. There's another bonfire that I could have used, but the Salt Fort is literally closer, so I will use that. I nearly fell down, which wouldn't have been good. But yeah, Strayed does have his own bonfire, but you can only access it once you have, you know, cured his petrification. Stop. I would have been able to roll through that if I had increased my, what I presume to be adaptability. I think it's adaptability. Anyway, ADP. I've always only guessed it to mean adaptability. I've never actually confirmed that one way or the other. Well, I'm glad that you die in one hit, quite frankly, otherwise that would have hurt. Alright, we've got a lot of enemies to take care of here. I'm going to try and line them up a little bit. I don't think that's going to work at all. Nope. Ah, you motherfuckers. Basically, those guys, they will eat away at your durability. Not just in regards to weapons, but also armor. Probably mainly armor. So they're not pleasant at all. I do need to buy some more life gems now that I think about it. That is definitely a priority. Well, I'm glad that we got through those enemies. These two are easy to deal with. I think this one is docile. Oh no, he's not docile. Maybe I'm thinking... Well, they were all docile in Scholar of the First Sin, if I remember correctly, but yeah. We will use our fragrant branch of yore to free Strayed. I think Strayed of Olafis is his name. Don't know what Olafis is, but does it really matter? What do you have to say for yourself?
Still a bit stiff, I'm afraid.
You'd better not be so stiff that you can't or that I can't engage in your services. Alright, so trade. Here we go. There is a Roaring Halberd, which is actually somewhat decent for magic builds. So we've got the Dragon Rider Twin Blade, not really interested. Dragon Rider Bow is more of a quality weapon. So the Roaring Halberd, okay. So I would say the Roaring Halberd is obviously one weapon, and then the other one that I mentioned, the Bone Scythe, I'm pretty sure can be forged by Weaponsmith Ornifex. If it can't be, then it means that I'm thinking of a weapon that is not related to this boss, but does indeed exist. And if it's not actually forged from the Skeleton Lord's soul, then I actually don't know where it's from. But it does exist, definitely. Soul of the Last Giant can make the giant stone axe, and some may think that I've squandered an opportunity here, but the thing is probably extremely heavy. It's 25 units of weight, with a 45 strength requirement. No. Okay? Tempting, but no. This already has... these requirements are quite displeasing. Well, I know what my priority is. I actually like the Pursuer's Greatsword, so I'm going to make it. And I'm going to consume... Feeble Cursed One. You don't need to insult me after I've just, given you money. You can actually shut up. Increases intelligence, none of that is actually helpful. Rouge Water, no. So this is a hex. All of these hexes are actually related to faith rather than intelligence. Well, no, actually, I'm partially wrong. We need to check for a catalyst that is not a staff. All of these are actually intelligence build focused because these use staves. In the case of some hexes, they are actually primarily faith-based and require chimes. Or talismans. Chimes and talismans are basically your alternative to a staff. I believe that in all cases, if it can't be used with a staff, it will say chime/talisman, or vice versa, talisman/chime. I don't know that for sure, but what I do know is that a chime and a talisman, there is never a case where there is a miracle that can only be cast with a chime or only with a talisman. So, there you are. As far as I'm aware. So we've got Unveil. I don't think this is helpful. Reveals the location of the nearest enemy or invading dark spirit. Fair enough. I don't think that's going to be too helpful. Resplendent Life. A great miracle used... Okay, I don't need that. Slowly restores a large amount of HP. So Resplendent Life is effectively not a regular life gem, but maybe a Radiant Life Gem. What are all the Life Gem versions? I don't even know. But it has a faith requirement of 25. I suppose the only reason why it wouldn't be as good as a Life Gem, however strong it is the fact that unlike a Life Gem, you will have to remain stationary when casting it. So it's a little bit like a shitty Estus Flask. More than a Life Gem. Yeah, it recovers health slowly like a Life Gem would, but one of the good things about Life Gems is that you can continue to slowly move while consuming it. That makes a huge difference in combat. It really sets it apart from an Estus Flask in a big way. So, yeah, Resplendent Life, upon further consideration, is a lot less appealing to me at this point. I'm not going to buy it. I pressed cross with the intention of going back again. That's going to happen a lot. Better get used to it. I've still got 30,000 souls, which is good. I'm going to look at my stats. Dexterity is at 12, so I'm going to put basically all of my souls into dexterity to get it to 18, then I'm going to well and truly leave it there, because I only want as much dexterity as what is required. Yeah, I think I'm happy with how I phrase that. For the weapons that I'm using. I'm not actually using it for scaling purposes at all. Shit! Well. Oh, that's right. I still need to consume the Skeleton Lord's Soul, so I would assume that I can actually make this. Or make it to this level. Skeleton Lord's Soul. I'm going to need a few souls, man. What have we got? 6,000? I think that might be it. If not, then we're only like 1,000 short. I can't clearly remember what the requirements were. Let's have a look. Can we do it? Yes. With only 668 souls to spare. Very good. we now have enough strength and dexterity, certainly enough strength, to use this weapon one-handed. We are moving on, we are graduating from the mace, and moving on to... What the fuck are you talking about? I thought I had 36 strength. Maybe I have 26. I have 21. Jeez, what's going on with me? Okay, so it will have to be used two-handed, actually. I think I've got enough to use it two-handed. I do. So, this has weighed us down a lot. At this stage, we're going to have to put points into endurance and strength. This has changed the build quite a bit. I don't want to let faith lie fallow. I don't want to literally ignore it and then get to a point in the build where I really should at this soul level have more faith than I do, but I don't. I don't want to be in that position. I want to actually slowly increase my faith as I increase my soul level. It may not be necessary to do that though, because at a certain point we are going to be increasing our level a lot. More than you would be in Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 3. The reality of this game, and maybe not everyone plays this way, but this is certainly how I play, and I've played this way since the game came out. And because I haven't actually involved myself with the community, I don't know if this is a widely used strategy. I'm assuming that it is, because it's obvious. It's a no-brainer, as they say. It is using bonfire ascetics to fight bosses that are manageable in New Game Plus and beyond to get additional souls. So I always use a bonfire ascetic on the old Iron King, always, because I find him pretty easy. He hurts a lot if you let him hit you, but he's pretty straightforward and very easy to deal with in New Game Plus. So that would be the first example of lots of souls. And then the second, obviously, would be the last giant. So, well, not the last giant. The last giant's literally the first boss of the game. I'm talking about the giant from the Memory of Ye, or whatever. It's the Memory of Ye, Oro, and there's another one that I've forgotten. I think it's the Memory of Ye that has the giant that you can actually grind, because they give you, in every instance of that fight that includes the boss, a bonfire ascetic to infinitely respawn the boss. And he's fairly easy to kill at high levels of New Game as well, so asceticizing the bonfire for that boss confrontation is absolutely obvious for any build, but yeah, maybe not everyone does the old Iron King. I always do the old Iron King. The souls are good. It's not just the souls that you get from killing the boss, it's also the additional consumable souls from the boss that you get that are really good, especially the one that you get that is unique to New Game Plus and beyond. So when you fight a boss at a level beyond New Game, you will actually get drops that are unique to that level of New Game. Some can only be acquired at New Game Plus, some actually only at New Game Plus 2, but the vast majority of things that are not in New Game will be available in New Game Plus, and you can actually just get them by using a Bonfire Ascetic. I think Bonfire Ascetics are an interesting experiment. I don't look at Bonfire Ascetics in the sort of cynical way that I look at the game as a whole. I think the game as a whole was pretty poorly done. I think it was messy, uninspired, and just a generally, what's the word, amateurish effort. But I think Bonfire Ascetics are an interesting, I guess, venture into a new direction. A nice little... it's adventuresome of them to even try it out. Whether or not it made the game better or worse, I couldn't say. Quite frankly, if Bonfire Ascetics are not helpful to the game, and in any way worsen the experience or detract from the balance of the game, quite frankly, I don't think that it's Bonfire Ascetics in particular that are causing imbalance, or for the game to not be as good as it could be. Quite frankly, Bonfire Ascetics are the least of your worries when it comes to imperfections with Dark Souls 2. So, with that taken into consideration, I appreciate the thought behind it. I use them. I don't dislike the fact that they're there. But I think that if I were to really analyze the effect that it has on the game, I would come to the conclusion that they're not good to have. But I've accepted them, so there you go. And as I've said before, I've generally accepted the whole game. Like, I'm at peace with Dark Souls 2. I don't really have a gripe with it. At least not as intense of a gripe as I have had in the past. I'm literally just having to take this stuff off now. I do want... You can get Havel's Ring in this game, if I recall correctly. I just don't remember where you get it. It may actually drop from Havel himself towards the end of the game in the Dragon Area. No, it's not called the Dragon Area, it's before the Dragon Area. No, sorry, I'm thinking of Dark Souls 3. I actually just confused myself and was thinking of Dark Souls 3. Where does it drop in this game? Where do you acquire it here? I've forgotten. It'll come to me in the future. If I'm two-handing this weapon, I really don't need my shield, do I, sir? Oh, for fuck's sake, how heavy am I? Okay, that's a little bit more reasonable. I don't mind changing the strategy to sort of a mid-roll with the... Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Let's look at that again. Oh, how delightful is that? The reason why I'm doing this, by the way, is not because I totally want to change how I'm playing the game. I'm doing this because I have no choice but to two-hand this weapon, and I don't want to continue using the mace. So, therefore, I'm going to have to lighten my build a little bit. I do this because I have no other choice, not only because I really want to use this weapon, but also because I don't have enough endurance at this stage. Once I start increasing my endurance and once I'm able to one-hand this weapon, I will use a shield and then one-hand this weapon, but can't. So, this will do just fine. I'm tempted to... Oh, I shall. I'll put the chime in this hand. So then I can literally just press one button that's not going to cause me to lose my greatsword to be able to cast these things. So I just have to keep pressing triangle to switch back and forth between being able to cast this. So that's a pretty clean way to go about it. What's our next step? I suppose the next step would be... I'm going to evaluate my inventory to start with. Am I happy with this? No, I'm not. That's why I evaluated my inventory, because I realized that I didn't have enough life gems, and sadly, I can't really buy many, as you can tell. I'm surprised that they're as cheap as 300 souls each. But yeah, seriously, that's not great. We are going to the mines. It is so hot. Sweat is dripping down my back. My face is also a little wet, a little moist. And, yeah, I have been more comfortable while recording, let me tell you. It is certainly a warm night tonight. Just because I've been live for a little while, I'm going to double check OBS to make sure we're all under control. It seems that we are. Yep, I'm happy with all of that. Alright, what's this guy using? Oh, that weapon. That's like a tarnished or very rusted, corroded weapon, I think. I genuinely don't remember how it performs. I only vaguely remember seeing it and using it at one point, but I don't remember how it functions. It could be quite good. There is an enemy just in here. We don't have to worry about... Oh, we apparently do have to worry about that thing coming through. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. You can see the damage that I'm dealing isn't amazing. The mace... This really only outperforms the mace in the sense that... Oh, he does have a little hand attack there. No, this is very damaging. The mace was like, I don't know, 120 damage. This is like 220. Bit more than... No, I'd say it would have been less than 120 with the mace. But the point is that another advantage with this weapon that is fairly obvious over the mace is the huge range that it has. The mace has no fucking range. Now, you are supposed to actually use that enemy to break this, which is a little dangerous, but as I recall, it's not worth it, so I'm not doing it. Actually, yeah. I can try it again in the future if I find that that was a terrible mistake. But I find that every time, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, every time I go to break that open, I think to myself, well, that wasn't worth it. So I'm going to try and break the cycle. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm not going to fight these enemies, I'm sorry. It's probably a little uninspired and not fun, but I'm not doing it. Come on, do your attacking. That's some good damage. Actually, let's just hit him before he can hit us back. Now the Sunlight Covenant, probably Covenant of Sunlight, doesn't matter. Sunlight Covenant is perfectly descriptive and accurate. But the Covenant of Sunlight is actually just up ahead. We're going to go there just so that I can show that it's there. Yeah, so this is one thing that I really hate about Dark Souls 2. Your physical character movements override your weapon swing. So if you're trying to retreat from an enemy, this is particularly the case with strength-based weapons, big, heavy strength-based weapons. If you're turning away from the enemy, you will actually turn away from the enemy as you swing. And it's very annoying. It's very annoying. So you can actually turn mid-swing, in other words. This is not good. I'm between a rock and a hard place, well and truly right now. Let's heal up. Quickly attack before he gets a chance to, and then do that. So, with great swords and great hammers and things along those lines, you do actually have to either not touch your left analog stick, which controls character positioning, when attacking, or you need to actually turn your character in the direction of the enemy. In previous games, and this is referring to Demon Souls and Dark Souls, two games that I played extensively before this one, if you were targeting an enemy, your character would naturally move towards that enemy because you were targeting it. Now, if you fucking changed that, that's going to be very uncomfortable. I don't know why they changed it. I don't know if it was intended to make it more difficult or what, but it was fucking annoying when they changed that. A fairly minor gripe, but one of many that I had with this game when it fucking came out. It pissed me off. I'll learn the Praise the Sun gesture, and I don't know, I could enter the Covenant, I suppose. Put something in that, oh well, that's fine. Well, I do need to get the achievements, actually. The reason why you're going to see a lot of achievements popping here is because I've only done one build in the original PC version. My first experience on PC with this game, as I mentioned in previous parts, was in fact the Scholar of the First Sin version. So, yeah, I don't have much time clocked in the original at this stage. So therefore, you may see a few achievements popping up. But yeah, Covenant of Sunlight doesn't really mean anything that we're in it, and I have no intention of... Well, to be honest, I am using a faith build, so now that I think about it, it might be quite helpful to be in the Covenant of Sunlight. I completely forgot that I was doing a faith build, and that might be quite helpful for this build. There you are. So, that enemy was actually alerted to our presence long before we came in here, but ordinarily, if we kill that first guy on the bridge and then come up here, the fat guy is going to walk into a pot, poison himself, and then that's his problem, you know. Unless that's Scholar of the First Sin, but yeah. There's also a weird jump that you can perform to get over there, but I would say that it's not worth it. If you're going to perform that jump, wait until you've killed the covetous demon, because it's just not worth it. Okay. I don't know how it did that. I believed myself to be walking normally, and then it turned out that I was actually walking off the edge. What a joke. That's my first death since I used a human effigy, so I've lost a little bit of health. But that's alright. We'll see if I'm correct about that other big green hammer-wielding fellow. So you can see that as I retreat from this enemy, I'm still facing the enemy because I'm targeting him. But if I'm retreating and then I swing my weapon, watch this. My whole character fucking turns away from the enemy. That is fucking stupid. Because you can imagine that if you've played a lot of Demon Souls and a lot of Dark Souls, and then you come into this game and you're used to being able to retreat while targeting and then have your attack go towards the enemy, and then you're doing this instead, it's horrendous. It's really stupid and illogical. It doesn't help. And because it's so unhelpful, one can only assume that it was specifically designed to make the game harder in a really trivial, pointless, and unpleasant way. Like, why? Anyway, he didn't poison himself with that, but I was a little bit too distracted with my showcasing of the completely ridiculous design of heavy weapons in this game. I don't believe it's that way with smaller weapons, but with heavy weapons, yeah. That's how they did them. Don't know what it's about. Almost fucking two-shot you. Not too far away from being able to do that. I don't see any reason to... Hello guys, how are you all doing? There may have been an audio prompt for that, but come on, hit them both. Just beat on them. Don't need to make it overly complicated. Just beat on them. The covetous demon, who was just up ahead, is pretty easy, by the way. Just out of curiosity, I will repeatedly try to make this jump. It's an annoying jump to make. It's one of the most annoying in the series, I'm not going to deny it. But, like I said, it's not worth doing it now. It's better to do it once you've killed this boss. But yeah, the covetous demon, easy. Very easy boss. Hello. I just don't want him to roll on me, you know. Because he certainly does that when prompted. He's not feeling too prompted at the moment. Oh, he's doing a tail swing. Oh. Apparently when he does that, it causes... Oh, I see. There are barrels with enemies in them. Hello. And there's the big roll. It comes in 2 parts. So that's the idea. If you're seeing how weak this boss is, you're probably becoming a little overzealous when attacking him. So he does his roll, and then, because it's so slow and it comes in 2 very well spaced out parts, the first roll might come out and he's on his back, and then the hunter, or the player rather, sorry, I played it much more standard, the player becomes a little too aggressive, a little too comfortable with the fact that he's dealing so many damage, or she's dealing so much damage, that the hunter goes, or the player goes in, so it goes in there, and then gets rolled on again. Oh my god! Jesus, haven't seen that one. But yeah, so because it comes in 2 parts, you might be inclined to go and position yourself really poorly, and then just get hit again. So here is our bonfire, and there's Lucatiel. We definitely want to be talking to Lucatiel here, because we want Lucatiel for... Is it the Smelter Demon? No, can't be the Smelter Demon. What's that boss called? It's basically the first boss of the Iron Keep. I find that boss to be a little annoying to fight, so having Lucatiel really does help. It improves one's chances of succeeding without too much effort being expended. Good day. Ring of Steel Protection. I do actually have a free ring slot, so I'm mighty pleased to have that. The Sun Seal is not helpful. Yeah, that's good. Very happy to have that. Thank you, Lucatiel. I'm going to exhaust your dialogue. I believe that is a requirement. It may not be a requirement to exhaust the dialogue, but it is definitely a requirement to talk to her. Talking to her is needed. Okay. So that's everything. It's story related, but Lucatiel does deteriorate over time. Mentally. So, you're beginning to see little bits of that. So you can imagine that having that as your bonfire is a lot better than the other one. for when you're trying to make this stupid jump that you're likely to fail. At least the first, I don't know, maybe even 5 times you do it. Just fucking stop. Why am I one-handing precisely? I don't recall wanting to do that. Alright, first attempt? No, definitely not first attempt. That's alright. I'm sitting on 19,164 souls. This is not really appropriate for me to be doing this. I hope that I lit the bonfire. I hope that I didn't see Lucatiel and then decided, oh, I'm going to talk to Lucatiel, and then I ended up forgetting to light the bonfire. I didn't forget to light it. That's good. Am I going the right way? I am. See, I thought that I'd rested at the bonfire, but I'd only lit it. The reason why I thought that maybe I didn't light it at all is because these guys didn't respawn. That was really where my concern originated. One more level in strength, and I will be able to two-shot these guys. But I don't know if strength is my priority right now. I suppose I can get it to 22, that's not too harmful to my build progression. Alright. Allow me to kill you. You do die in one hit. I'm just being extra careful. There you go, little drop down attack. I will pick up this item. Skeptic's Spice, not really worth it, but it's not like that was terribly difficult. So you end up rolling too far there, but I forced myself to hug the wall and that was enough, fortunately. Yeah, well, congratulations. I'm just gonna fucking heal my poison, I don't care. At this stage, I'm at a point in the Earthen Peak where I'm not going to have to deal with too much more poison, so that's fine. This is a mannequin enemy. These guys are really nasty. You really want to beat on them until they're dead. You don't want to give them an opportunity to do anything. I don't know if you're able to see this, but basically I go in there, right? And I swing my weapon, and because the exact position of the weapon is dictated by where I'm moving my left analog stick, I'm actually off target for much of it. Oh, fucking hell, just die, man. You have some fucking balls, don't you? I'm mashing you mindlessly. Nope. I pressed the fucking roll button. I've got 20... Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I'm so stupid. Do you know why I'm so stupid? I completely forgot what was sitting on my bloodstain. 20,000 souls. That's not a huge amount, but it's enough to level up, like, I don't know, 3 times at this stage in the game. And I've basically put myself in a very compromising position where I have to make that jump, otherwise I lose 20,000 souls. I have to make that jump, which I've failed so many times playing Dark Souls 2. Otherwise, those souls are gone. And I'm an idiot. And I don't even really think there's anything that amazing over there. I just was checking it out of curiosity, but not for the first time. That fucking jump is probably going to mess my life up again. Fucking hell. I'm really unimpressed with this. So I suppose the big strategy, or what I probably should be trying to do is hug that bloody wall. Let's do it. Hug that wall. I didn't even need to hug the wall. I got it fucking perfect. I got it perfect. Alright, let's not get fucked up by a mannequin, because I know that you're here, you fucker. I know all about you and your goddamn swinging arm blades. I've fought you fuckers enough. Alright, Estus Flask now. Forget the mannequin in there for the moment. Focus on... No, fucking focus on getting your souls back and then continuing to fight him. Once you've killed him, use Homewood. Because nothing is worth, and I mean this, nothing is worth risking the loss of those souls again. Fucking hell. It is a miracle that I managed to retain those. I was not expecting to not only get the jump, but get it so cleanly. I guess sometimes when the pressure is on, you do things that you can't expect. Or anticipate. There you are. Let's fucking level up with these souls. I don't know what we're going to get, but we do have the Covetous Demon Soul that we can consume, and I'm pretty confident that there's nothing that I can make from that I would want for this build. Here's hoping that I didn't fuck that up, and now we're going to level up. 28,662 souls are on hand at this stage, and that should be enough to level up a decent number of times, yes. 4 times more specifically. So we'll put one more point into strength. I'm not touching dexterity, but what I will certainly touch is endurance. I'm just making sure that it is indeed still endurance in this game that increases your stamina. It most certainly is. It's equip load that's moved to vitality. Equip load used to be endurance focused, but it's moved to vitality in Dark Souls 2. But yeah, we're going to put some points into endurance there. That's very important. Wait, no. It's not stamina that I need in actual fact, it is equip load, so I do want to increase my vitality. And that's okay, because it does, true to the old games, increase your health as well, just much less. So basically, vigor increases it very highly, vitality increases it a very low amount. That's more than traditional vitality, that's less. So, there you are. Let's put those points into vitality. Nearly fucked that up. I mean, stamina is important. Let that be known, but I thought I pressed circle. But yeah, no. No, I certainly don't need to prioritize increasing my stamina at this point. I've taken endurance to 15, which is respectable. I did that in the early game so that I didn't actually have to touch it for a little while. And I'm still not at that point where I want to increase it, so we'll increase it from 15. Okay, Pursuer's Ultra Greatsword. As I understand it, this is going to require Petrified Dragon Bones to upgrade, and I don't know when I'm going to get my first Petrified Dragon Bone. It's probably not going to be for a while, shut up. It is not even available for upgrading, and I think that is because this guy can't deal with that anyway. If we go to... See, I'm pretty sure. It could be Twinkling Timeline, but I don't think so. I don't think anything that requires a soul to trade for it can actually be upgraded with anything other than a Petrified Dragon Bone. Which has put me in an awkward position. Because I'm not going to be getting any Petrified Dragon Bones for some time. Oh, that's right. I can't fucking talk to you until I get your Ember from the Iron Keep. Very well. Back to the Earthen Peak. That's fine. I am, by the way, lacking in life gems. I could have picked up around 12. No, I could have picked up... Why didn't I say 12? It doesn't matter. Forget it. So, the Earthen Peak is essentially... Oh, here we go. Backstab opportunity. Better take that while it's there. The Earthen Peak, which is officially where we are now. Previously, I was referring to the surrounding area as the Earthen Peak, but this is actually it. So, I really wanted that to poison you. That must be a Scholar of the First Sin thing, which is nice. It's a nice little touch, but apparently in the original game, it doesn't poison him. Fair enough. But yeah, this is the actual Earthen Peak. You can get through it very quickly. There is a fast route to get it completed. And I'm probably going to do that. Maybe. We'll see. Alright, let's prompt this guy to come down the bridge. I don't want to find him there because I don't want to get sniped by a poison arrow. That's what that mannequin thing's shooting. I call it a mannequin because in the demo version of this game, or in an early alpha build of this game, those guys had heads. And they were the mannequin mask. So the mannequin mask that you see in this game originally used to be their heads. But for some reason they are headless in the full version. I just remember when the... okay, goodbye. Quite frankly, I'm happy to see you go. That was quite worthwhile. Alright, so yeah, I call them mannequins because the mannequin mask used to be their heads. In an old, just get out of my fucking way. No, no, no. Not fucking putting up with it. I'm one-handing and I'm also pointing myself in a fucking direction that is not their direction. This is fucking stupid. I'm taking them to the end of the bridge because I'm not putting up with that shit. Fucking stop. Getting throwing knives. Look how fast they pursue you. They do not fuck around, these guys. I need more poison than what I have. What you're seeing here is an excellent demonstration of just how pursuant enemies are in this game. They're not docile enough to let you run out of their attack range. They will absolutely chase you down. They were admittedly leashing by the time I turned around, but still, like, they were fucking on my tail for a while. Well, not so much for a while, but they were absolutely keeping pace with me as I was running. And that is the theme of Dark Souls 2 enemies. They really chase you down. Some of them, though, they go on forever. Those Alon Knights, I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm going to say Alon. I used to say alone, but I don't like alone. The Alon Knights of the Iron Keep, they will chase you for as long as you draw breath. Doesn't matter where you go. They will always do it. Alright, I should have torches on hand. You don't need it. Okay, so back when I first started playing this game, so for the first 2 builds of this game that I played, I think I did 3 builds by the time I stopped playing, which was probably 3 or 4 months into the game's release back in 2014. First 2 builds, I was using a flame butterfly to light this, which is dumb because you don't need one. There is a source of fire right here. Light the torch, and then set the torch to the windmill. And then all of the poison that is in this general area will drain away because it's being pumped by this windmill. Not only is that going to affect this area around us, it's also going to affect the boss room. This boss is going to become much easier with this windmill burned because basically the amount of poison is going to greatly shrink. What that actually means is that we have a larger area to fight the boss. Remember with the Dragon Rider, the one from Heidi's Tower of Flame, we were essentially able to interact with the environment to increase the size of the boss room. We were literally pulling a lever and raising the boss floor, or boss room floor. This is another example of that. So by burning that, we have effectively given ourselves more breathing space for the upcoming boss. So killing that mannequin there has basically prevented this guy from pulling that gate down, like those bars, those metal bars. And that's helpful because otherwise you'd have to go around, you'd have to take quite a circuitous route to actually get back here. And I'd like to come back here because there is a fellow named Laddersmith Gilligan with whom I would like to partake in conversation.
You're a fugitive too, eh? Yeah. Why else would you be here? Scott, you want to climb? Aye.
His ladders are fucking expensive, by the way. I think it's 2,000 souls. Yeah, I was right. I happen to have 2,000 souls. I'm glad. It'd be a bit annoying if I didn't. I think he still offers you the chance to buy his ladder to put it down there, but you may have to actually reset if you said no the first time. I could be wrong about that, but anyway. He won't offer the deal twice. I'd better go and get the goodies. This is what's incredible about this fucking game. This does not look very far down, does it? It does not look far down at all. But if I went and dropped down there, I would die from the fall. Okay, I would die from the fall. Not just take lots of damage, I would die from it. That little drop. That's why I just spent 2,000 souls to get a ladder to climb down here, because our characters are so fucking pathetic that they can't fall that kind of distance until... I would imagine that there's an attribute that we can actually increase here. Let me just have a look. Maybe it's linked to AGL, maybe, which is agility. Maybe as we increase agility, we actually can fall more. In Demon Souls, it was called safer landing, but... Ugh. It's so funny. Now when I talk about Demon Souls, it ends up being the most relevant Souls game for me to reference, which is hilarious, but for basically the entirety of my life playing a Souls game before the remake came out, referring to how things were in Demon Souls was literally referring to the game that people had played the least in the series. Now it's probably, the game people have played second most. And even if that's not true, because technically it's the PlayStation 5, and perhaps not everyone has played a PlayStation 5 exclusive game versus, say, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, games that have been on many systems. Everyone knows about Demon Souls. Everyone's familiar with it, so it's very topical. I'm not used to referring to Demon Souls and have it be topical. I was mentioning safer landing so that I could basically say that there was a skill similar to that in that game, but only in that game. There's no way to actually influence your... In the original Dark Souls, there's no way to actually influence the amount of damage that you take when you fall. It was originally in the Souls games, though. I'm assuming that it's in this one. If it's not, then... Oh, no, it certainly is. No, it's certainly... No, never mind, it's not. I was thinking... So basically, I was considering one way to get around it. The way you get around it is by increasing your maximum health. Increasing your maximum health is actually how you survive falls in this game. These pyromancers, by the way, these priestesses, they are more dangerous than they appear. If they cast an ignite pyromancy on you, you may die. That essentially requires their AI to decide that you're going to be within close enough distance for ignite to work as you're approaching them. It's all about timing. If their AI decides that it's worth casting ignite and you walk into that, you'll take very heavy damage. More damage than almost anything else that they cast. In fact, certainly more than anything else they cast. You're seeing that I'm being very aggressive right now. I thought that motherfucker was dead. Ordinarily, I would have actually retreated before continuing to attack, but I saw that he was consuming Estus and felt that that was really not appropriate. I'm going to say that I'm not actually happy with what I have on hand right now. In terms of healing wares, like at all. Not even close, but I'm deadly serious when I say this. I don't need more than one Estus flask for what's coming up ahead, because let me tell you, there's this fellow named Jester Thomas, that when we are alive, let me rephrase that, that when we are alive, yes, that's how you speak English, we can summon him, and he's basically, he's going to do all the work. He's very strong against Mytha, and we've actually made it easier also by decreasing the poison in this boss confrontation room. So, yeah, one Estus flask will suffice. Jester Thomas will do the rest. Come on, Jester Thomas, I do actually need you here. It must be said, it's not in any way helpful to be at one Estus flask when fighting a boss. Never has been, never will be. Oh, she recovers health in the poison. No wonder it's so nasty to fucking fight her in there. Yeah, she's recovering health in the poison. Stop that. Oops. I actually forgot that she recovered health in the poison. The thing is, Jester Thomas is so fucking strong that it almost doesn't matter, but... I'd say she would be dead by now if it weren't for her recovering her health. I'm telling you, Jester Thomas has incredibly strong pyromancy. Please get over here. What the fuck are you doing? I shouldn't have done that. In doing that, I basically wasted time more than anything else. Okay. So, I wasn't expecting to fail that. I mean that genuinely. What am I going to do? I'm forced to essentially use only Estus flasks. Alright. Don't do that. Fuck. Sometimes accidentally doing a back hop can kill you in this game. In any Souls game, quite frankly. I thought I stepped on that pressure plate. Perhaps not. You're gonna chase me? No, you're not familiar with the fact that I'm here. Or aware of the fact that I'm here. I believe in Scholar of the First Sin you do get ambushing mannequins that jump these walls, but not in this version. Which is good. Very glad to see that. Hello, females. Is there a particular reason why you're like so unresponsive to my immediate presence? These ladies are actually being affected by the poison, so I don't know why those big green troll people are totally resistant to the poison from these pots. But they certainly are in this version. They're not in the Scholar of the First Sin, so maybe it wasn't originally intended for them to be resistant. I suppose if they're already green, they do naturally appear to be poison resistant. But still, I'm going to take these guys on one at a time. Oh, fuck off. Get a life. Fine. I don't want to do this, but I'll do it. Just don't use Ignite, please. Thank you for showing your back to me. There are 2 benefits associated with that. One of them simply relates to the eye candy. Alright, so by shooting a lightning spirit him, I can basically have a one enemy at a time confrontation. Don't have to fight both at the same time. That was a bit bit over the top of me to be doing that. A bit excessive. Did he fall over? That's hilarious. Bastard. I tried to backstab him though. That was absolutely my intention. Alright, so with Mitha, let's try to not have her go in the poison. I want to keep her on target with me so that she doesn't end up standing in the fucking poison, attacking Jester Thomas and recovering all of her health. Believe it or not, in the first build that I did of Dark Souls 2, I did fight Mitha without burning the... like the very first one that I did, I fought Mitha without burning that windmill, and that's really hard. I'm seeing how hard it is now because she recovers a lot of health in that poison. Can you fucking not? Can't even remember getting hit by that attack in the past. Right, stay out of the bloody poison, woman. Stop. Just fucking stay out of that. Are you kidding me? That has that much range? Oh my god, fuck off. What kind of attack is that? She throws her head, and the explosion created by it is gigantic. I'm wasting human effigies at this point. What a fucking joke. Oh my god, this is painful. I've never had such an unsuccessful attempt at fighting Mitha. Usually it's very quick and easy. Alright. We just have to keep trying. Because, I mean, maybe it's worth just having a shield on hand with her. Maybe I'll just change my strategy. And use the stupid mace. I keep missing that pressure plate even though I'm expecting to press it down each time. Alright. So here we go again. I believe I picked up my souls. If I didn't, then fine, but... yeah, I probably did. Just fucking launched her into the... poison pot there. Can you hit the poison pot next to you, other woman? Fine. Get out of here. Wilted dusk herb. I just sent your fan flying. Get out of here, man. Nope. Get that bloody explosion out of here. I don't believe that that can affect this fellow. I fucking pressed R2 a second time, and it looked like my character was doing something, but he was actually having some sort of mini seizure. I don't know what was happening with him. Anyway. What have you given me? The Desert Sorceress Hood, I think that was. Whatever. I'm not especially concerned. You can see that I keep going to change to my chime in my right hand, but it's actually sitting in my left. That happens every time I decide to change to the left hand. I end up going for the right instead. Oh, God. Grave Warden Bottoms. Oh yes, I like a good Grave Warden Bottom. The sort of adventures I've had with Grave Warden Bottoms would curl your hair. And curdle your blood. Quite frankly. Oh, I know my way around a Grave Warden Bottom. I don't know about you, but... literally, but... Yeah. No, actually, Beans. I've played Dark Souls 2 more than I've played Dark Souls 3. The question that Beans asks me in the chat is Dark Souls 2 the Souls game that you've played the least? I have been wanting to play more Dark Souls 3, but haven't. Consequently, I've technically played more Dark Souls 2 than Dark Souls 3. I'd say with Dark Souls 3 I've got about 200 hours under my belt, whereas with Dark Souls 2, I'm sitting around closer to 400 to 500. Despite actually disliking the game for the first 5 years of its release, so yeah. That's only because by the time I played Dark Souls 3, I had so many other things occupying my time. So... but yeah, I've put a bit of time into Dark Souls 3, just not enough. Oh yeah, I was supposed to change to the mace, wasn't I? Whoops. I suppose I can still do that, it's not too late. Oh no, it's pretty late, isn't it? It is quite late in the day to be doing things like that. Get your fucking tail out of here, you stupid woman. Okay, get out of the fucking poison, please. I beg of you. Yeah, good for you. Jester Thomas, please do more. I know you're doing a lot, but I actually need you to do more, if you can believe it. Get out of the poison! Get over here. Don't walk slowly in this direction. I need you to actually, with some considerable... get out of there. With some considerable purpose, get yourself... I love how she jumps for her head. Get yourself over here. I need to actually complete my sentences a little better than that. But anyway. I almost need to just survive and let Jester Thomas do all the work, but that's no fun, is it? Alright, I dealt the killing blow. That was me. I did everything. No, genuinely, thank you, Jester Thomas, for your assistance. Mitha the Baneful Queen. I got her fucking soul. I'm telling you now, I usually don't need 3 attempts to kill her. Usually it's 1. But I do admit it was a little risky of me to go in the first time around with literally 1 Estus Flask. That was pretty dumb. Was that 3 attempts or 4 attempts? I can't remember now. It felt like 4 attempts, but it probably wasn't. But if it did feel like 4 attempts and it happened to be accurate, I wouldn't be that surprised. So we are now at the Iron Keep. I don't intend to progress through the Iron Keep, at least not properly. I'm tempted to get the Ember for Macduff, but... anyway, you can see what I mean when I say that it's a volcanic area. You've got lava flowing through here. Don't know where the fucking volcano is, but I'm sure it's somewhere if there's fucking lava. But anyway, for the moment, I think we're going to get out of here. I might see how much damage I'm dealing to these knights, the Elon knights, whatever they're called. Hello? 2 of them is not really what I was hoping for. 3 attacks, not too bad. That's not too bad. No, you can stop that now. I'm surprised that can send you flying with your heavy armor. Pick up item. We've got some gauntlets. Very nice. If I had more endurance, perhaps that would be... Well, no, vitality in this game. If I had more vitality... I don't know. Let's stop doing that. I'm not French, clearly. But if I had more vitality, I would be able to make use of that armor. It would be good, defense-wise. Can I hit you, please? I don't have any ability to recover health, so I need to maybe not do this too much. I didn't actually mean to throw 2 of them, so fine. There we go. You're dead. It's good money, by the way. And by good money, I mean good souls. It's perfectly, possible to pick this up without dying, by the way. I just don't really want to do it with 28,000 souls on hand. Part of the reason why I'm coming all this way is so that I can see what this guy has to offer. What? Who are you? What do you mean, who am I? Is it any business of yours? Really? I think the gloves give you more souls, yeah. The Jester's set. It's quite helpful. One of them increases item discovery, another increases souls acquired. I think another... I can't remember after that, actually. Remember these carvings from the original game? Well, there you are. Excellent. So this fellow sells a fragrant branch of yore. If I am at a point in the game where I am in need of a fragrant branch of yore, and I just don't have one, I can buy one here. So that's good to know. Maybe in some respects, Beans. Beans in the chat is saying, is it me, or do you move relatively faster in this game compared to the original Dark Souls? In truth, no. Animations are snappier, cleaner, and faster in Demon Souls and Dark Souls compared to this game. I'm referring to the original Demon Souls when I say that. This game has slower, more fleshed out animations, which actually translates to sluggish gameplay. Maybe some aspects of the gameplay are faster in this game. I'd say that enemies are faster, but generally speaking, things are slower in Dark Souls 2. Generally. So, yeah. I hadn't actually considered anything being faster in this game, but it's possible. If that's the impression you have, it must be based on something that you're seeing, and it may very well be accurate. Okay, it turns out that if it says that a chime is required as a catalyst, it's not written that a talisman can also be used, but it is true. If a chime is required, then you can also use a talisman. So, there you are. This is Darkstorm. Creates a local vortex of dark flame. Is that like, I guess, surrounding you? I suppose so. Oh, Navlan uses it. I've seen Navlan use that to great effect. He's killed me a few times with Darkstorm. Navlan is one of the most nasty enemies in this game. You can avoid him by not pissing him off. But once you've pissed him off, that's it. He's really quite a frustrating fight. He actually is just a black phantom that invades you all over the place. Ugh. Anyway. So that's Darkstorm. That might actually be quite good. It requires 12... I'm glad that I didn't press the wrong buttons and then ended up buying it. It requires 12 intelligence. You can see that I've put no points into intelligence. And I'm going to keep it that way until I'm grinding souls with that giant in that memory location. Because for now, I'm not doing any dark magic that requires intelligence, at least not that much. So, well, probably not any amount if I'm currently sitting at 4. It's only going to get more expensive to, you know, increase my level ups past this point, so... Or increase my stats with level ups past this point, if I wanted to properly articulate that. Oh yeah, there's a secret wall, may as well show you it. Where is it? Is it here? Somewhere here. Secret walls are actually activated by pressing the X button next to, or cross next to, the secret passage in this particular game. Where are you? Motherfucker. Oh, need to open another fucking secret wall. I just want to attack this enemy before he can attack me, okay? That's all I want. Oh, there's a few of them. There's a few of them. This is bad. I've got 29,000 souls. Don't fuck this up, Doomlink. At least get yourself into a position where it's easier to get back to your soul in the event that you fucking die. I was entertaining the thought of killing all of these knights and then getting the ember. But I shouldn't have done that anyway, because you need to perform a jump to get to the ember, okay? And I don't want to be performing any jumps when I've got almost 30,000 souls. I think you would agree that that is a prudent way of approaching things. Oh, well, whatever. That's fine. He got his attack out before I could get mine out, and I needed to heal, so there you are. Come to think of it, it may be sensible for me to replace these gauntlets that I'm currently... Well, I don't have any gauntlets. I do. Vangarian cuffs. I should replace those with the Jester gauntlets. So let me go back there. I'm going to coax one of them out. I do not want to fight two at one time. I'm not taking any chances with my almost 30,000 souls sitting there. Get out of here, mate. Good night. I'll prioritize picking up that soul. Yeah, good for you. I'm having to point my character in the direction of the enemy because I simply don't have it in me to literally let go of the analog stick. Dark Souls, well, 1 and Demon Souls have taught me to not do that, so yeah. Finger almost permanently on that left analog stick. I don't really have anything to say about that. 770 souls per kill is decent. Could be better though with the Jester's gloves. I've already got the Silver Serpent Ring equipped, by the way. So this is already, like, I'm already getting more souls now than I ordinarily would be. So, that's good. Yeah. I was thinking for a moment that it might have been a +1, but no, it's just the standard ring. By item, we're going to get the Jester's Gloves at 26 defense. Wow. That's actually more defense than our Vangarian Cuffs. Well, I say 26 generally, there's a lot of defense values here. But it is actually considerably better than our Vangarian Cuffs and not that much heavier. So yeah, brilliant. Very good. Happy to see it. Oh yeah, the boots, I think... Well, remember when I said that there were various effects with the Jester set? One of them actually reduces the... I think the head increases item discovery, maybe? And the boots reduces falling damage, I think. I should have gone and checked if I was going to assert that. Perhaps I wouldn't even go so far as to say that I was asserting it. I was suggesting it as a possibility, actually. And, yeah, it could be entirely wrong. Let's go to Majula. Mitha the Baneful Queen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly check to see what I can make with Mitha's soul. I believe that there's a poison weapon that I can make with it. I just don't want to run the risk of... No, I didn't want to do that. Whatever. Mitha the Baneful Queen soul. Let's have a look. No, not the Fextra Life Wiki. Fine. I'll use the Fextra Life Wiki for now. I'm not doing it willingly. It's only for Mythos Bent Blade, and I'm not using that. That is... yeah, no. We're not doing that. So... hold on. I basically searched on the tab that I was using for Twitch, so... I'm just going to go back to that, and... yeah. Okay. So, we can quite comfortably, and without any concern whatsoever, consume Mytha's soul. I don't know why I still have the Ruined Sentinel soul. I must have had a vague recollection of it being useful for something, but quite frankly, I don't remember what that is, so whatever. These talismans here are actually pretty good. What's this? Dragon Charm. Cures poison and greatly restores HP. Like, that's really good. Those things are amazing. Greatly restores HP as well as curing poison. That's amazing. I'm now being a little redundant in what I'm saying. My exclamations are almost like they're bordering upon just unhelpful, and they're not adding anything to this. I'm not sure what that weird exhalation was, but it was some expression of contentment. Alright. So, a few more points into vitality, I think. Remember, we don't want to leave faith behind, so yeah, I'm happy with that. See, that's a great way to approach it. Get faith up to 25. We haven't forgotten about faith. It's still relevant to the build. We're not doing much with it yet, but in time to come, we will be. The way that I approach builds, particularly faith builds, where it's not quite as offensive as intelligence builds, is I like to have weapons that scale with things that relate to faith. In previous games, it was literally just a faith scaling. In this game, it's not just that, it's also lightning BNS. So, yeah, lightning BNS is a big thing for faith, because it literally, the effectiveness of it is related to your faith stat. So, entirely relevant to a faith build. Okay. Level ups are becoming increasingly more expensive. You're not getting a perfect visual indication of that, because I'm covering the souls counter every time I level up, but if you're looking in the right places, you will be able to see the cost to my souls every time I do that, so... Now, is there anything that I need to take care of? Let's see if I can equip anything in particular here. Point being that I have been increasing my... yes, I have been increasing my endurance. No, I've been increasing my vitality. Doomlink, this is Dark Souls 2. Please get a grip. So I've been increasing that, so therefore I can equip a few more things. How about the mannequin mask? How heavy is that? Only 1.8? That's looking good. 1.8 for that sort of defense is actually very good, better than anything else at the moment. It's very ugly, I won't deny that. But, yeah, it's functional at the moment. Okay, happy with this. I do definitely need to keep increasing my strength. It's just that for this level up, I wasn't yet happy with the amount of vitality that I had, and definitely wanted to increase faith as well. So, yeah, good decision making, I would say. I always have a good sense for how to level up a character. You know, I didn't really understand that that was a muscle that you had to build, or, in other words, a skill that you had to develop, until I spoke to Ethan, quite a good friend of mine, for those who don't know, quite in depth about how he feels when he plays a Souls game. He is at a point where if he is, and he hasn't played too much Souls, he's not like someone who's been playing a lot, I have to tell you. He is still in the beginning stages of enjoying a Souls game and playing a Souls game. And he hasn't spent much time playing Souls. But he says to me, no matter what, when I'm building my character or when I'm leveling up my character, I feel like I have to consult you because you have a good idea of how to actually level yourself up at any given time. You know exactly what you need at this stage in the game, at this stage in your character's progression, and you have a good way of working out your priorities. But I don't have that. I actually don't know. I've got no idea how to level up my character. So, it really wasn't until I heard that I realized that it was very much a skill that you had to develop. The thing with Ethan, though, is that he hasn't developed his own ability in Souls enough yet. He can spend more time playing Souls, but he doesn't. There's something about it, he doesn't play it in his own time. He would rather have me around when he plays it, so yeah. I wish that he played it in his own time, but he doesn't really do single-player games anymore. And I get that. You do fall into a trap of really only feeling like you're doing something worthwhile unless you're playing with other people in a multiplayer game. It feels as if you're not doing anything worthwhile. And obviously playing multiplayer does pass the time faster as well. You do more in a shorter space of time, or at least it feels that way. Sounds like your brother. Well, the thing is, the guy that I got into Souls games back in 2012, I got him into the original Demon Souls back then. He was a person who played a lot of video games, and quite frankly, I would let him play every now and again. Like, he was quite happy to let me play his game, literally do a build for him, and he would sit there and watch. Because for him, there was something about the game that was quite difficult to get his head around, and he couldn't play it quite as well as he could play so many other games. Because he played a lot of games, he was a lot better at video games than I was, generally speaking. But because I had played Demon Souls quite a bit, and also the first Dark Souls quite a bit by the time I had introduced the series to him in 2012, I had developed a skill set that he simply didn't possess. And a part of it would have been that it was difficult for him to learn something entirely new, but the other part was just he felt that it couldn't be done because he couldn't naturally do it or play it well from the beginning. I guess he didn't have much confidence in his ability to do it. So he was genuinely happy to just sit there and watch me play. Like, I would frequently say, do you want to play, or do you want to go through this area, do you want to fight this boss? And he'd go, no, you can keep going. And you know, he would play, but not that much. And he would still say that it's like, I remember when he told me, coming from a person who'd played so many games, him, not me personally, but he had played so many games, and he said to me, I think Demon Souls is my favorite video game. And when he told me that, I mean, as you can imagine, good friend of mine, I love the Souls series, I'm obsessed with it, and someone who plays as many video games as he does. Way more games than I have ever played in my life, even now. Back then, he had played more games than I've played in my life now. And hearing him say that Demon Souls was his favorite video game, I mean, that really was... It was almost a moment of empowerment. You know, I almost felt, well... It wasn't so much empowerment, I guess it was more like satisfaction that I had introduced something worthwhile to him, instead of just something that I happened to like, that he may not have liked so much himself. It wasn't that way at all. He very much enjoyed it, so that was great. We're not friends anymore, though. The only reason why we're not friends anymore is because we had a friend group, and he was the only person that I really cared about in that friend group, but he was good friends with the rest of them, so yeah. We naturally drifted apart as a result. There's a lot of examples of that in friendship groups, but yeah, that's why we don't still associate with one another. Otherwise, I'm sure we would. And I suppose if I were more attached to other people, I would try to hold on to that friendship more than I have done. Well, you see, the last time I interacted with him, Beans, was long before Dauntless came out. I last sat down and played video games with him in 2015. That was the last time. So, yeah, Dauntless came out in 2018, so I don't know what his opinion of that game is. I tried to get him into Monster Hunter, but he wasn't into it. Obviously, I tried to get him into Monster Hunter. But, yeah, he seriously was not able to get into it. He played the 3 Ultimate demo. He had a Wii U. And I got him to play the 3 Ultimate demo, and he just wasn't feeling it. So I failed on the Monster Hunter front, but as far as Souls was concerned, he was sold. Absolutely. I'm trying to think of what I'm doing next. I'm not ready for the Iron Keep just yet. And I would have to... You know what? I am ready for the Iron Keep. You know how I know? There's 2 reasons why. So first of all, to be able to progress in another direction, I would need to have a Fragrant Branch of Yore on hand. I don't know where to get one, other than through this guy who's selling them in the Iron Keep. And that's for 7,500 souls, which I don't have at this stage. I can get them. I can get those souls, but... You know what? I have a better idea. These enemies that I'm fighting are not too difficult to get through. Why is Doomlink running back to the bonfire? It's because he realized that he is about to take on the Iron Keep without having any life gems on hand, and he has 3,000 souls. So, what he is going to do is continue to speak in the third person, and go and purchase as many life gems as he can possibly purchase, which is 10. Which makes sense, because it's 300 souls. Okay. Hello, Emma Jack 06. You know, that's... that's funny, because the person that I've been talking about, his name is Jack. So to have someone in the chat turn up with the name Emma Jack is interesting. Funny timing. Some people don't believe in synchronicity or, you know, things like that. To me, I don't believe in extraordinary coincidences like that. What I mean to say is that I don't believe that it's... I think there's more to it than that. I don't know. Should I seek to rekindle the relationship? Who knows? I'll have to give it some thought. But yeah, we got along very well. Enough time has passed that I think we've both, particularly him, I think we've both changed a lot. So. It'd be very funny to see him again. Alright. Just sitting down and having a conversation with him would blow my mind, I think. It's been so long. Anyway. What I'm going to do, and it is the best way to approach it, is I'm going to attack these enemies coming through here. Oh yes, I suppose I've been saying all this without there being any context to for you anyway. But, yes. Hello, Emma Jack. Enjoy the live stream is all I'll say to you. I'm going to actually fail to... Oh no, I managed to deal a killing blow to that Alon Knight, which is good. So I find that going from this direction is best. And it's no surprise that it is best, because this actually requires the opening of secret rooms to get here. So it makes sense that this is better and easier. But the only reason why it's easier is because you end up attacking the knight that would otherwise be shooting from a distance first. So you don't have to deal with him basically utilizing ranged combat while you deal with the other knights. You kill the ranged guy first and then deal with the close range guys, which translates to an easier time. No, I was not talking about Ethan. Definitely not. Ethan and I have only been, you know, friends since 2018. So. Ethan and I met when World came out, and we played World together along with lots of other people. We developed a friendship group, And really, Ethan and I, on both of our parts, really only stayed associating with the two of us. We didn't really stick around with any of them. There's only one other guy, his name's Sam. He hasn't been on a live stream in a long time, and I only chat to him every now and again. I would love to get him on a live stream again. I will try to... I'll try to spend some time with him. I haven't spent time with him recently. Sam's great. For those of you who have seen the Generations Ultimate demo recording that I did some time ago, he was the third guy there. And he was part of a few Doom Links Life Hunts recordings and Hunting with Purpose recordings in the early days, so... yeah, he's good fun. He's very loud, but he's good fun. I would say that myself, Ethan, and Sam are three very distinct characters and personalities, which you put the three of them together and it's really quite unusual. I'm, by the way, worried about getting sniped to death by that guy, which is exactly what happened. What I should have done was retreat further so that that guy couldn't snipe me, but I guess I overestimated my ability to kill that knight that was immediately in front of me quickly. I suppose it didn't take too long, but it wasn't fast enough to survive the ranged shooting of that fucking bow-using knight. So the Dull Ember, which will be acquired just up ahead, is something that I'm not going to worry about until I've reached the boss and killed the boss. I'm going to try and approach this section of the game by using as little Estus Flasks as possible. I'm going to save them for the boss. I actually don't mind failing that. I don't mind dying there because it allows me to actually accumulate more souls by killing these enemies again. It's a little bit repetitive, but it's a form of soul farming. It's actually not that great for character progression to always perfectly get through every single area. It's more helpful to fail because as long as you get your Bloodstain back, you accumulate more souls through having to kill the enemies again. So I don't see failure, per se, as an issue. Because not only do you get your souls... well, not only do you increase souls naturally, as long as you get your Bloodstain back, that's a big point. You naturally get better as you go through the area repeatedly. So, it's a good thing. Oh, I shouldn't have sent him down there, that was stupid. And by the way, speaking of getting souls back, that does require me to kill these enemies successfully. So, let's do the best we can. I think I killed that other one, that's good. Oh. This fellow has whipped out his sword. It's very mindless how I was fighting those knights right there. Very mindless. It was literally just me swinging my sword as aggressively as possible to kill them. But that is a form of strategy, depending on your character setup, and that's the best way for me to be fighting at the moment. Alright. Let's coax this fellow forward, and then make sure that we are out of range of this guy. Only 3 hits to kill this guy. This enemy. But we still don't want to be fighting him with the archer within range. So to lower the bridge, we need to pull that lever. I'm going to start... ooh, that's not good. I wanted to get a backstab with you, and I did manage to get it. I was not expecting to get it from that range. I don't know if you saw that, but I was standing pretty far away from that, that knight. Oh, stop it. Fucking, I'll have to stand here. I'm currently in range of 2 archers at the moment, and that's not good. You can see how ridiculously accurate they are too. Oh my god, fuck you. I'm literally using all of my life gems here so that I can survive to the boss, or until I reach the boss, with maximum Estus flasks. Get over here, now, motherfucker. Get over here. Thank you. I never thought that I'd have to aggressively request one of these knights to get close to me, or to keep up with me. Usually they're very good at doing that. Okay. Now, this archer over here is going to cause a lot of trouble. Alright, what enemies have we got? I know we've got this guy here, so I'm going to stand by him. And we're going to miss every fucking attack because we absolutely suck. Put him... Oh, he's too big. He's really big, isn't he? Ugh. Okay. We're barely getting through right now. I've got 17,000 souls. I'm going to tell you, I do not want to engage this boss with 17,000 souls, but I'm going to do it. Because it's now or never. Sometimes you just have to go all in. You know this. Oh, thank God, there it is. I was about to scream. I was like, where is Lucatiel's fucking summon sign? Fear not, Doomlink, for it is here. What am I getting hit by, and how the fuck? Oh, it's you. Okay, as long as it's you, I don't want it to be the other guy. As long as I can see who's shooting me, I'm fine. Okay. We need to actually focus. I'm going to be quiet for this boss fight, guys, because I want to get it right. I don't want to fuck this up. I should not already be healing, that's stupid. There is one particular direction that you can evade in to avoid all of his attacks. I just need to remember which direction that is. Get out of range of that. You can see that I'm losing a little bit of health, because his flame is actually damaging. Lucatiel is being a great help right now. Unfortunately, that was aimed on me and on my position. I recovered a little bit of health there. I'm going to expect there was not a ranged attack there, which is very annoying. That was an opportunity to hit him. What I'm seeing here is that the damage that we're dealing is not very good. I'm going to have Homewood at the ready. If it feels like I need to use it to get out of this boss fight, I'll actually use it, because... Seriously? The damage that we're dealing is not good, and he's got the flaming sword. And the flaming sword hurts. You haven't seen it yet because I haven't taken a hit, but it hurts. Okay, that hurts. Let that be a good indication of the amount of damage I'm taking from that. It's still possible that I'll succeed. I just need to not squander Lucatiel's assistance right now. I can't be letting him literally do everything. That killed me. That was a ranged attack. Oh my fucking god. 17,000 souls sitting in the boss room. I hate this shit. I'm going to put myself in a position once again where I'm literally wasting human effigies to get back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to approach it a little bit more sensibly than this. Or than wasting human effigies to keep retrying that boss. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do all of that again to get to the boss, and then once I get in there, I'll actually interact with my bloodstain, get my souls back, and then find the appropriate time for me to use Homewood and get the fuck out of that boss fight. I want those souls back. I don't want to keep having to try that and fail it and then risk losing those souls every time. It's not worth it. It's better for me to actually reap the benefits of having acquired all of those souls than to run the risk of losing them. Okay. On the road again. That's an obscure song. But I'm on the road again, you know. Off killing these fucking knights. Bastard creatures. Yeah. That gives me great pleasure to see you flying through the air like that. Seemed a little extreme for the attack that went out to do that, but anyway. Come on. Don't be shy now. I suppose what's most annoying, and definitely what is convincing me that homeward boning out of the boss fight is the right course of action, is the fact that I've used those life gems. They are definitely not coming back until I buy them, so oh well. I have been acquiring more souls too, courtesy of the Jester's Gauntlets, or gloves rather. So I'm very happy to have those extra souls. In fact, how many is it per enemy? Kill him before he falls. There we are. So that's 847 per enemy. That's very good. I think it was 770 before. No, don't you kill me. I cannot allow... No, roll. Go. You need to survive this. You cannot possibly countenance failure now. You have 17,000 souls in the boss room that you need to get back to. Do not fucking die here. Do not. Fucking hell. Alright. You get back here. You get over here now. I guess over here. Back here. How do I make sense of that? Is this literally a new knight, or is it the same guy that I fought before? So if I were to say back here, that would be assuming that it's the same knight. But maybe it's a completely new creature. Maybe the respawning has created a new soul with which to interact. Yeah, no. I'm not fighting you on that bridge. I'd happily fight you on that bridge if it weren't for this great bow wielding bastard. But the great bow wielding bastard, incidentally, has strong enough arrows to knock me off that bridge. And I'm not doing it. Let's just totally fucking miss. It's a little more acceptable because I wasn't targeting them at that time, but let me tell you, if I were targeting them, it wouldn't make a lick of difference. Actually wouldn't make a single fucking difference. What's going on? Where's the other guy? Why are you retreating so fast, only to cause problems in the future? What is your problem, man? How are you even alerted to my position? Are you coming after me again? No, you're not. I don't know what you're doing. And it bothers me. All I know is that you can't pursue me when I'm over here, so... fuck you. Oh, I managed to get a backstab. Or a backslash in this case. Please die now. Please fucking die now. What the fuck? See my health right now? It's less than half. This is not okay. This is not even close to being okay. Hurry up. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. As Chancellor Palpatine would say. I'm palpitating. Quite frankly. 28,000 souls on hand. And that may actually do me for this recording. I need to check to see how long I've been live. It's been 2 hours and 8 minutes. Very good. I think that will actually do me. I don't have anything to consume in terms of consumable souls. And I'd say that's a success. There was failure related to the success. But I accumulated souls, so it was not literally a waste of time. I achieved something in what I was doing. So, strength to 25. That's a good number. Happy to see that. You've still got a little bit to go before we can one-hand this weapon, but that's fine. We're getting increased damage, and it's helpful for the build as well. That is going to conclude my recording for Dark Souls 2. It is the third recording of the build, and I will see you next time I'm recording Dark Souls, Monster Hunter, or anything that you'd like to see from the channel that I'm live for, that you'd like to watch either live or in VOD form. I'll see you when I'm next recording or going live with something that you would like to see. Bye bye for now.